Hey there! Ready to dive into something new? Today we're going to be putting on our conductor hats and really digging into how, breathing new life into old rail infrastructure can completely change communities.
Yeah.
Especially, in Romania, which I know you're super interested in.
And what's really exciting is that we actually have, a guide, a roadmap to help us through this. We'll be looking at this Romanian guide that talks all about revitalizing these rail assets. But it doesn't stop there. It actually pulls in 11 international case studies, too.
Yeah.
Just to show us, what's actually possible.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Okay.
This guide, it keeps mentioning transit-oriented development.
TOD, yeah.
Or TOD, yeah.
Right.
To be honest, it sounds a little jargony to me. Can we break that down a little bit?
Totally. Yeah, think of it this way. Imagine a city where you don't need a car, right?
Oh.
That's the essence of TOD. It's all about these compact, walkable urban spaces where, people and public transit are really prioritized, not cars.
Okay, so instead of sprawling suburbs, we're talking about vibrant, really connected neighborhoods where you can walk everywhere.
Exactly.
I love that. I'm picturing myself walking to a bakery on a Saturday morning.
Exactly. And that's exactly what this guide highlights as a major benefit for Romanian cities.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, aesthetics. It's about fostering sustainable mobility and also boosting the economic productivity, right? When people live closer to where they work and where they play, it creates this really cool ripple effect throughout the entire urban ecosystem.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah, exactly.
This kind of reminds me, you mentioned earlier all these international case studies.
Yeah.
Are there any examples of TOD completely transforming a city?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let's go to Helsinki, Finland for a second. They had this disused railway line that kind of sliced through the city.
Okay.
And they saw an opportunity instead of an eyesore.
Oh, I love where this is going. Did they turn it into a park?
They did even better. They transformed it into what they call the Banan. It's a pedestrian and cycling corridor that's not just green and beautiful, but also has recreational facilities.
Wow.
So they basically stitched the city back together and encouraged people to, ditch their cars.
That's brilliant. That's a win-win.
Exactly.
For the community and for the planet.
It is.
It makes you wonder why more cities haven't thought of this. But it's not just about parks, right? This guide also talked about train stations getting these amazing makeovers.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's about way more than just greenery. Take London's King's Cross station, for example. It used to be pretty bleak, but this huge regeneration project turned it into this bustling cultural and business hub.
I was just there last year.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to believe it was ever considered run down.
Yeah.
What did they actually do?
They really focused on making it a destination. It's not just a place to catch a train anymore. It's a place to meet friends, grab some food, even catch a show. They really integrated it into the city, making it a place where people actually want to be.
That's a great point. It's not just about functionality. It's about creating these spaces that are aesthetically pleasing, but also socially engaging.
Totally.
Now, tell me more about this idea of transforming these old railway lines into, valuable real estate.
Yeah.
It seems like there's so much potential there.
There is. Imagine, this bustling neighborhood, right, on what used to be just a neglected rail corridor.
Yeah.
Take the Hudson Yards project in New York City. They built an entire neighborhood on top of an active rail yard.
Wait a minute, on top?
On top.
How is that even possible?
It's amazing. It speaks to the creative engineering and urban planning, but they saw the potential in this space.
Yeah.
And went for it. They created this really dense mixed-use development with everything from skyscrapers to parks.
Wow, that's thinking big. But all that concrete and steel, it makes you wonder about the environment. This guide mentioned something about green and resilient solutions, right?
It did, and sustainability is a key theme throughout. A lot of these projects are really focused on eco-friendly practices.
Yeah.
Reducing emissions, adding green spaces.
So it's not just about aesthetics, it's about our health, too.
Exactly.
Do you have an example of a project that really shows this focus on sustainability?
Absolutely. Let's head over to Milan, Italy. They have this master plan called Climate Agents.
Okay.
For the Scalafarini and San Cristoforo areas, which used to be rail yards. And get this, they're creating this massive green corridor that will act as a green lung for the city.
A green lung? What does that even mean?
Basically, it's this network of parks, trees, and green spaces that's designed to, clean the air.
Oh, okay.
reduce that urban heat island effect you hear about, and just create a more biodiverse and resilient urban environment.
Wow, it's like they're giving the city a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the physical environment either, right? These projects can really impact communities too.
100%. The guide stresses how these projects can actually stitch communities back together, especially in areas where railway lines may have caused division.
Yeah, breaking down walls and building bridges at the same time.
Exactly. A really great example of this is in Valencia, Spain. Their Parque Central project is literally reuniting neighborhoods that were once divided by rail tracks. So they're creating a public space for everyone to enjoy.
I love it.
It's a powerful example of how urban design can actually bring people together.
I love these international examples. They're so inspiring. But I also want to bring it back to Romania.
Of course, yeah.
How does this guide suggest applying these principles in Romania? Like, I know every city is different, right?
That's where it gets really interesting. This guide actually dives into the details of urban planning, and it really emphasizes the importance of adapting these ideas to Romania's urban fabric, their cultural heritage, their economy.
So it's not one size fits all.
Right.
It's about taking these inspiring ideas and making them work in a Romanian context.
Yeah, and that means understanding the current situation, talking to local communities, and figuring out solutions that really meet the needs of Romanian cities.
This is so fascinating. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to unpack.
Before we go there, let's take a closer look at this whole transit-oriented development thing.
Okay, TOD.
TOD, you mentioned it was key to so many of these successful projects, right?
It is, and it's not just a buzzword. It's a total shift in how we think about our cities and transportation.
Yeah.
TOD is a framework for making cities more livable, more sustainable, and more economically successful.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break it down for me. What is TOD and how does it really work?
So at its core, TOD is about walkable neighborhoods that are centered around public transit. It's about making it easy for people to live their lives without needing a car. So you step off the train and everything you need is right there.
So kind of like that 15-minute city concept?
You got it. TOD really embraces that idea. And it can be applied in lots of different ways, from dense urban areas to smaller developments around suburban stations.
Okay.
The key is to really put pedestrians first and connect transportation, housing, businesses, and public spaces.
So like you said, not a one-size-fits-all approach. It has to be tailored to each city.
Exactly. And this guide stresses that there's no single blueprint for TOD. What works in Helsinki might need to be tweaked for Bucharest.
That makes sense, but how do you actually make it happen? What does it look like on the ground?
Well, the guide points out a few key things. First, you need good public transit, and I don't just mean a train station. I mean frequent and reliable service that connects well to other things.
That makes sense. Nobody wants an unreliable train system.
Right.
What else is important?
Walkability. It's about making it safe and easy to walk or bike. So good sidewalks, crosswalks, bike lanes, all connecting back to the stations.
Because no one wants to walk a mile from the station, especially if it's not safe or enjoyable.
Right.
What about things like shops and restaurants?
That's where mixed-use development is key.
Okay.
TOD encourages that mix of housing, businesses, shops, restaurants, all those community amenities, all within walking distance of that transit.
So it's about convenience, but also about that sense of community, like people meeting their neighbors at the local cafe.
Exactly. And it's good for the economy, too. Businesses can thrive by serving the people living nearby.
It's all coming together now. TOD is about more than just transportation.
It is.
It's about building better communities from scratch.
That's a great way to put it. And this guide really emphasizes that point. It shows how a well-thought-out approach to these rail lines can make cities more livable, more sustainable, and more prosperous.
This is giving me a lot to think about. It sounds like Romania has a huge opportunity here to embrace these principles and create some really cool spaces.
They do. And the guide doesn't just outline these principles, it provides steps and strategies for making it happen.
Okay, so it's a call to action.
It is. It's a call for Romanian cities to really rethink how they view these rail systems.
I'm excited to dive deeper into those steps and see what they look like, but for now, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll explore how this guide tackles actually revitalizing rail assets in Romania.